Alright, you lot, welcome back. I know this one is a bit delayed, but we did need to get to it eventually, and we have. We're going to talk about the Warhammer Plus miniatures for this year, because one of them is absolutely outstanding, and I love it, and the other one is a Space Marine. That's harsh. It's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, look, we'll take a look right now, and you'll be able to see nothing wrong with the lad. Perfectly serviceable. It's just, you know, the other one's more fun. Anyway, look, this one is called Wrath of Macragge, and, well, you can see why. It's very obvious as to why that's the case. It's because it's an Ultramarine stabbing an Orc. And this is the thing, right? There is nothing wrong with this at all. There's nothing wrong with it. In terms of a Space Marine stabbing an Orc, perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. Of course, the fact that it's called Wrath of Macragge and yet has no Ultramarine specific iconography on it, because they don't want to do that. What they want to do is make it so that you can have it as any chapter you like. That is kind of funny. I'm not making it up either. It is called Wrath of Macragge. I'm not just saying that to be like snarky. That is what it's called. But they do literally say there are no sculpted Ultramarine details on the model, so you can paint it however you like. Which I guess is where I start to struggle a little bit when it comes to the naming convention of these things, because surely you could have called it Wrath of the Astartes or something that isn't chapter specific, only to then make a very clear point as to how you've deliberately made the model not chapter specific to the thing that the title is a direct reference to, because they want it to be clear that you don't have to make it about Ultramarines, even though it's heavily tied to Ultramarines by the way you've called it. Look, if it was me, I just wouldn't have called it that. I would have called it something else, because it feels really weird to be that specific whilst also being decidedly not that specific. Anyway, weird name decisions aside, perfectly fine, perfectly good. The Space Marine looks decent. I mean, we've got I nearly said a Bulwark, a Blade Guard. Space Marine 2 is still living rent-free in my brain. That's a decent-looking Blade Guard. Looks nice. I like it a lot. The armour looks good. I especially like the little crack that we've got on part of the greave there. That's fun. The battle damage. That pauldron having a bit of a smash section on it. In fact, same with the gloves as well. There's a little bit of damage. There's a bit of, like flavour going on here. The breastplate's got a few nicks and chips as well. It's nice. I like it a lot. The Orc looks great. It's a shame he's being stabbed to death, but hey, he's still holding a slugger. There's still a chance he might get a shot or two off. We can't write him off this early, alright? He might make a comeback. We just don't know. The shield, likewise, fine. Kind of boring. I think I would have liked the shield to be a bit more decorated, have a bit more going on, because this is essentially a small diorama they've got going on here. Would have been nice to have a bit more decoration there. Like, the shield being decorated, it doesn't need to be covered in Ultramarine stuff. It can just be a slightly fancier shield. But it kind of looks pretty standard, which is a bit of a shame. We have got a tilt shield. That's always a plus. We always like one of those. And I will say the sword is solid. Having all that parchment wrapped around, so you've got a bit of a purity seal thing going on, but it's just properly wrapped around the blade and partially over the hilt. That's a very cool look. That's a very cool look. It might not necessarily be practical, and I bet the writing becomes impossible to read very quickly because it's going to soak up all the blood from the Orc. But you know what? It looks great. That does kind of go some way to making the shield feel a little bit lackluster because you've got this extra detail on the sword, but other than that, perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. Now, because I know at least one of you is going to say, don't we already have a Space Marine standing there having stabbed an Orc? Yes, we do have one of those in the form of High Marshal Helbrecht. But to be fair, as of this moment, he is the only one that we have that has a similar thing going on. It's not like it's a massively repeated thing. I think part of the thing is that this is such a memorable model, and it's so specific that the comparison's probably going to be made. Someone will have immediately seen this lad right here and gone, that reminds me of something else, specifically the High Marshal. But I would say suitably different. Suitably different. There's enough different details going on. I mean, for a start, he doesn't have someone cleaning his sword whilst it's still embedded in the Orc, so that is a significant difference. This is more of an in-action pose. So yes, we have technically seen this idea before, but I mean, it's not like common. It's not all over the place. It's fine. Now, if you happen to get this lad and you were worried about transporting him, there is something that you could do to ensure his safety no matter what form of transport you take, and that is to check out Warmag. I'm going to give myself 8 out of 10 for that segue. It wasn't bad. Wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad. Warmag is my personal favourite miniatures transportation and storage system. It's all about magnets, as you could probably guess. What you do is you take one of their base sheets, which fits into a really useful box. This one right here is a War Machine one, but they do have roughly a bajillion of their own designs as well. No, seriously, look at this. Pretty much whatever theme you want to go for, they have got something for that theme. It is insane how much choice there is. Once you've got the base sheet in the really useful box, you get some of their magnets that fit within the rim of your miniatures base, and this one, because it's got a little bit of a molded section, I cut a little triangle out, still fits beautifully. You'd never know it was there. You wouldn't be able to tell. Put that on the tabletop, it's not getting in the way, no one knows that it's in there. And you take it, you do that, and then you can rag it around as much as you like. You can really, you can properly shake them. It's not going to go anywhere. They are secure. Warmag has been steadily expanding. There is now not just the UK store, but also an EU store and a US store as well. If you're looking to get started with some Warmag stuff, I suggest going for one of the combos. Say you want a 9-litre box, well, you can decide what colour box you'd like, and you can decide what base sheet you'd like as well, and then you just choose what magnets you're after. Super quick, super easy, you're all good to go. Check out Warmag using the links in the description and the pinned comment down below, and use code KIRIOTH at checkout for a cheeky discount. Thank you very much to Warmag for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to some tasty models. Now, this is why, of these two miniatures, the Space Marine is my least favourite. This is the Plague Knight's Burden, and that there is a Maggotkin Rot Sword carrying off some poor Free Guild sod. My reasons for preferring this are many. Firstly, the Maggotkin of Nurgle range refresh, the update they got, was absolutely incredible. I don't think Games Workshop showed off a single bad miniature when it came to them getting a bit of love, and this is absolutely no exception. It's also something a little bit different. Instead of having a proper full-on execution thing going on here, instead there's something a little bit more sinister, I guess? I think that's probably the word, isn't it? This feels like an aftermath diorama. It doesn't feel like a middle of the battle. It doesn't feel like a fight to the death. Instead, there is something kind of creepy and alarming happening. Like, this Rot Sword is fully just dragging a Free Guild soldier. Now, the Free Guild soldier most likely is dead, but why is the body being taken away? What's the purpose of it? These are questions that I would like to know the answer to, but also feel like the answer is going to be deeply, deeply unpleasant. It's also a fun little diorama that feels like it properly captures the sort of implacable nature of the Maggotkin of Nurgle. A lot of them are either extremely heavily armoured, or they are just massive, and all of them have the kind of feel of, if they walk towards you, they will most likely get to you purely because they refuse to go down in the process. Like, you can shoot whatever you like at them, you can charge whatever you want at them, but if they've decided we are getting to the other end of this battlefield, they will probably manage that just by resilience alone, and this kind of fits into that quite nicely, that sort of resilient nature, that implacable nature of just walking forwards. I think it suits it really, really well. Plus, all the little details that you get on the more recent Maggotkin stuff, it just looks great. It always looks good now. There is almost nothing in that range I don't like. We have things like that sort of antler-esque horn coming out of one side of the helmet, the other still having it, but there being these like mushroomy, fungusy growths going on as well. I really, really like that. I love the asymmetry of it. There's a lot of that sort of thing for this range, like, as a whole now, which I really, really enjoy. Plus, there is the classic thing when it comes to Nurgle stuff of having a heavily armoured, like warrior or character or whatever, and having a helmet that has got some sort of, is it oblique? Like, the idea of some sort of slit for vision that simply doesn't look like it would work that well, but is incredibly menacing. This falls into that category. Like, there's also, I think, some of the helms where one side is blank, but the other side you've got multiple holes, or like in that sort of triangle formation. That kind of thing, it just looks fundamentally badass. I couldn't really explain why it does, but it just does. It's one of those things that it always looks good to me. It always looks good. Then we've got things like the chainmail over the actual plate armor. We've got these kind of like, not medallions, I always forget the name of them, those sections that are hanging down at the front there. I really like it. It's just a bit of added extra detail. It works super well. It again adds to the very sort of heavy feel of this model. I really like the pauldrons too. One of the pauldrons having all these strips of cloth kind of tied into the bottom of it, like that lower edge. It doesn't really add anything functional, I don't think, but what it does add is a nice bit of additional contrast when it comes to the materials. They've got the cloth hanging down the middle. You've got the belt tied, properly visually tied as well. You've got that kind of effigy, is that the right word? That knotted bit of rope that has been tied so that it's got that triangular three-pronged shape. There's a specific word for that, I think, and I can't remember what it is. Not icon. It'll come to me right when it's least helpful. Probably about 3 o'clock in the morning, probably. I really like that. Again, there's just this nice mix of different textures that, yes, there is that on the Space Marine, but on this, it's hitting a bit different. Between the kind of bone texture of the antler, and then the pauldrons, and then the cloth, and then you've got that layered segmented armor, you've got a bit of chainmail as well, plus there is a little bit of bare skin as well on the broadsword. There's just a lot going on, but it's very visually pleasing to me. Plus the armor being a little bit corroded and having that little bit of damage. Oh, it just looks great. Always looks great. And that's not even touching on the fact that the Free Guild soldier looks really, really good. Again, I mean, maybe this is why. Maybe this is why this one is doing so much for me compared to the other one. Effectively, two of the ranges that I think Games Workshop have done an absolutely incredible job with are the Maggotkin and Cities of Sigmar. Going to add the Ogres to that list as well, obviously, but we have, I think, of the 3 range updates that I have found to be absolutely fantastic, top to bottom, like pretty much nothing in there I don't like, Cities of Sigmar and Maggotkin are 2 of them. Like, they're 2 of the 3 that I've seen Games Workshop do and gone, this is just solid gold all the way through. And they've combined the 2 in here. So it's one guy that I think visually is absolutely stunning, carrying another guy who is visually stunning, both from ranges that overall absolutely rule. So I think it really does make sense that I like this as much as I do. Wrath of Macragge isn't bad. It's not a bad little diorama. It's perfectly fine, but for my money, this Plague Knight's Burden, it's just that little bit better, frankly. But that's just me. You may completely disagree. If you do, let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to Warmag for sponsoring the video. Again, check them out using the links in the description and the pinned comment, and I will see you for the next one.